really scary thought when I am responsible for anything technical. But it's all good. It's all good. So thank you. Welcome. I'm Leah Joki, Artistic Director of No Joke Theater. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I first off want to acknowledge the University of Montana, that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Kootenai, and Kalispel people. And we do honor the path that they have always shown us in caring for this place, and we hope to care for it for many generations to come. I'd like to give a big thank you, first off, to First United Methodist Church. Gives us rehearsal space, which is critical. We just couldn't function without it. And I'd also like to thank our superhero donors, Sandy Shepard, Dave Blakely, John Schaffner, Joe Stewart, Kathy Veazey, Stephen Schmidt, and Dr. Chris Caldwell, and Dawn Payne. I'm going to just tell you a tiny bit about how this all came about. So Mark Plonsky and I directed this together. We sort of divvied up things. And so Mark's going to tell you a little bit about the process.
Well, so last fall, Leah Joki, myself, Penelope Vaquero, and Ian Kester got together and offered true storytelling workshops and writing workshops for anyone wishing to explore their relationship with recovery or within the recovery community. And Leah, myself, Ian, Penelope, and above all, these performers you see behind me worked on crafting these narratives to form the show that you're about to see. And just a word about that, I mean, standing up in front of people in any context can be difficult. It requires courage, and I want to salute the courage of these people behind me. And just to clarify that courage is not acting in an absence of fear, it's acting in the face of it. And so I salute these people with all my heart. Thank you.
Also, a couple things about tonight. This is very much focused on the written word. So, for instance, some of them have turned into scenes and we're actually performing it as a scene, but most of them are being read. The very first piece was actually written by a board member who is not in recovery, but she worked in the jails in Utah, and she dealt with a whole lot of people, right, that were. We also have a piece by Izabella Muse. You'll see her picture come up several times. She couldn't be here tonight, but she allowed us to tell her story, and it's broken up into 4 different ages: when she was 12, when she was 15, when she was 21, and now that she's 25. So that was someone who was part of this workshop but wasn't able to perform it. One of the things I just wanted to address, like, people have asked me multiple times, so why do you guys always go to these different places, these different venues? Because we kind of hop around. And I like the hop around thing, because of what I learned from hopping around when we did it the first time out of necessity is that, first of all, it's super important. It's part of our mission that we have performances that are absolutely free to the public, that there is no admission. And we can do that at the Missoula Public Library. We can do that at First United Methodist Church. But also the beauty of hopping around between those two places and here and Zach downtown is we have dramatically different audiences. And that's what this program is about. This program is about bringing these issues, these topics out to a variety of audiences, not just preaching to the public or to our choir, our little choir, right? So we're trying to expand it out into very different audiences. And this, I feel, in the Masker, I thank you so much for coming. This is the best place in the world. I love this theater. I've performed in this theater multiple times. It's my favorite. It's just a great theater. And for my participants, part of the whole experience is getting the whole experience, not just performing in a church basement where your friends are sitting 2 feet from you. It's this is a whole different ballgame. To be under lights, and this is part of their experience, and I support their experience. in having that. And the last thing I wanted to say is that just remember that these stories are true. As we've been splitting hairs about them, and Ian Kessler, our dramaturg, my teachers are paid for their in-class hours, but the number of hours spent poring over people's scripts and meeting with people and going, let's change this, and can we change this word, or can you think of a better word, or oh, let's get rid of that whole paragraph, or oh my God, don't understand what's happening. There was a lot of time getting them to this place where we feel they are very well crafted, every word's been thought out piece of material. But I just had to remind myself, as we've been working on them, that these stories are all true. My favorite thing to say as I work in nonfiction a lot is, they didn't make this shit up. So this is their truth, and as Mark said, it takes tremendous bravery to get up and share stories that are not just in a recovery meeting, not in an AA meeting. They're not just in our little writing group where we say, oh God, I'm never going to share that in the public. Well, here we are. And it takes tremendous courage. And so for many of them, for the first time. So with that, there is no intermission. It's not a huge long piece. Please enjoy Stories We Tell Ourselves.
Name and age?
Christy Jackson, CJ, 31.
Michael Derringer, 42.
I'm Bailey. I'm the psychiatric nurse practitioner. Are you taking any psych meds?
Prednisone for nightmares.
I feel like there's cameras watching me. I take those little brown pills. You know those?
Sounds like risperidol. I'll check and get you some. Any dizziness?
Sometimes.
I'll give you bottom bunk clearance. Here, put this in the window of your cell. Falling from the top bunk onto a concrete floor is no fun. And don't lose that. Everybody here wants the bottom bunk.
Thanks.
Allergies?
None.
Shrimp!
Yeah, shrimp isn't on the menu here. Ever hurt yourself or others?
Aggravated assault and battery. It's my second.
I've tried to kill myself 5 times.
How old were you the first time?
17. My stepdad raped me. I got pregnant. Tried to OD on Tylenol. Hoped at least it might make for a miscarriage. The Tylenol tore up my liver bad. I almost needed a transplant, but we both survived. Other times, just pills.
Any kids?
5.
None that I know of.
Who's caring for them at the moment?
Jeremiah's in a group home. Elijah and Miles are in foster care. Hope and Justine have the same dad, my Aunt Shirley. She takes care of them.
Any surgeries, medical problems?
Yeah, nothing to write home about.
All right, you're good to go. Guard?
Are we almost done?
Still a few more questions. These things take a while. Where were we? Right. Any surgeries, medical problems?
I get seizures. My boyfriend Scooter, he slammed my head into a wall. And I need glasses.
Is Scooter still around?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Me and Scooter, we're doing coke. He gets violent when he's coked up. We started fighting and he slammed my head through the wall. My vision in my right eye, it went black. Hurt so bad. I could still see him with my other eye. White as a ghost, screaming, "Your eye fell out. You gotta fix that." He was on parole, so we ran. I just laid there, curling up, blacking out, coming back. An hour later, I got up, finished the coke, walked to the bus stop, rode the bus all night, trying to let the drugs wear off. Figured if I passed out or seized, maybe the driver would help. Finally went to the ER around 3, maybe 4 a.m. I was starving. Realized I hadn't eaten in 24 hours. Begged for food. But they had to rush me into surgery. No food, no water, just an IV. All I wanted was a hospital sandwich. They saved my eye mostly. With glasses, I can see pretty good now.
That's a lot. But the real question is, did you get a sandwich after surgery?
Ham and cheese with mustard. Best sandwich ever.
Were you using birth control prior to incarceration?
No, can't show up at the doctor's office high.
Your last period?
Now, but
What? Oh,
the officer last night wouldn't give me any pads.
what?
My cellie gave me one. I don't want to get her in trouble though.
I'll talk to the lieutenant and make sure they take care of that. CJ, hey, what's going on?
My Aunt Shirley told me Hope won the spelling bee. I want to write her, but I don't have any money for paper for commissary.
Okay, I'm going to give you some homework. On the first page, I want you to keep a journal of your nightmares, and the rest of the pages, you can do what you want. Guard, Miss Jackson is ready.
Hey, you ever feel like you're being watched?
All the time. Get out of here, Derringer. I am 12 years old, and I have just become aware of my own existence, and I immediately don't want it anymore. Feelings have come online that I do not understand. I am incomprehensibly sad. A hole has opened up in me, and my parents detest me these days. My dad has stopped being curious about me, about who I am. Maybe if I can reverse time, maybe if I can regress into a smaller, more childish version of myself, will his interest be piqued? If I expose all my weaknesses to them, will they see that I just want them to hold me until I forget what it is like to not be held? I bleed once a month now, and it feels like the source of all that is wrong with me. This is happening beyond my control. It has made me unworthy. It has changed me into something I cannot fathom is lovable. I give in to it. I stop trying to be better than what I am and just be what I must be. I find a way to control the pain. I'm not even completely sure where the idea came from, but I know it is my only option. I start cutting myself open with a blade. I sneak into my dad's shed until I find something sharp enough to slice myself open and watch blood spill. I wonder, if I brandish these wounds on my body, will anybody recognize them as a mirror to the inside? I'm so unaware of where it came from. I wish I could explain it. I am just as confused, angry, and scared as my parents are the first time they see what I've been doing to myself. I just want to go back to the way things were.
I got drunk for the first time at 11 years old. At a neighborhood party, I was fed slow gin and 7-Up. They told me it was a slow, comfortable screw. I was in love with a girl named Paula Braun. She was my heartthrob. I was a 6th grader and she was an 8th grader. We rode the bus together. She had beautiful brown curly hair. And there at the party, I got to kiss her. But then I puked all over my fancy white snap-down Western shirt. The other girls swarmed around me. They took my shirt off and put it in the washer. When I asked what I should do, they said, "Drink more, you'll feel better." Later in the night, I came to, still double-eyed drunk, and I could hear Paula having sex with someone else in the room next to where I was frozen into a chair. I never did find out who the other guy was, but that was certainly the theme of my drinking career. A slow screw, but there was nothing comfortable about it.
You want to hear stories? I'll tell you a story. It was an August afternoon. All us kids were running around.
Oh, God, yes, I remember. I was there. I just turned 15.
I farmed 2 fields behind Doc Doherty's acre. I'd gone out to check the irrigation pump. The sprinklers had stopped.
I was 8. There were 11 of us kids total, and my older sister Sharon, she was probably around 16.
It was mid-August, and the raspberries that year. I've never seen so many.
I remember wondering if we'd get rain.
And I looked up, and Mr. Parker, the farmer who lived 2 fields behind us, he was climbing the fence, racing towards the house.
I hop the last fence and walk up to the ditch, and there, I can see it.
I remember Mr. Parker running through the backyard, fear in his eyes.
And he had a bundle in his arms.
It wasn't a mess of weeds or an animal. It was a child.
The little boy's head flopping as Mr. Parker ran across the field.
A small child, blonde, clad only in underwear.
I have him cradled in my arms, and I run next door to the neighbors, the Dohertys. Mr. Doherty, he was a doctor.
All us kids in the yard, watching.
Wish I had a handkerchief. I could cover his face. It's strange. He only has underwear on.
Mom was scared, calling for the children, frantically counting noses.
He was weightless, stone cold, so
Mom-
small.
Mom had me and Rose, the 2 oldest girls, help her count on the brothers and sisters while she worked on the baby.
The water had marbled his skin, traces of purple veins.
He was cold. I remember that. He was limp.
And there were kids all over the yard. Dohertys must have had 10, maybe 12 children.
Mr. Parker placed the child into Mom's lap, and she tried mouth to mouth. She had me help with the chest compressions, trying to get the baby to breathe again.
I remember Mom. She was so calm. Instinct. She wasn't thinking, she was just doing.
Mom was desperate. She kept doing compressions on the baby, trying to get some breath out of him. And the more she couldn't, the more she panicked.
Mom was a farm gal, you know. Accidents. She just went into auto mode. When you're in the middle of it, you don't realize what you're doing. You just do it.
I could tell Mom was scared.
And then, you know, I'm sure Mom had relief. Relief that this is not my child, but again, I'm a mother. This is what mothers do. This is death at my door.
We kept at it, the compressions, the breathing, till it felt like the boy would break.
Mom called for my sister Sharon. Call the authorities.
She's hollered at me to go in the house and dial search and rescue, or the police department, or the sheriff's department. Anybody.
And I could see my sister there through the kitchen window at the rotary phone.
There was no 911 at the time, and I'm flipping through the phone book, and all the pages looked the same. My eyes weren't working. I was too panicked to read the phone number. For the life of me, I could not seem to find a number.
The boy, lying there, reminded me of that stillborn foal we had back in '58.
I still have nightmares of looking for that number. It's been more than 60 years.
Mr. Parker just stood near the wall there. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to do with his hands. Once they realized that the baby was gone, Mom took a sheet off the line and laid the child out right there on the picnic table.
I ran back outside and my heart was pounding, just battering inside.
Miss Doherty cleared the picnic table, and I remember thinking, this little guy? Hell, he'll fit right there on the end. She didn't have to clear the whole table.
She covered him up. Something a mother would do.
I could hear crickets. No doubt we'd be getting some rain.
And my hands, I remember they were still wet from the boy's skin.
And one of my sisters brought out the household crucifix.
I'm not a church man, but the candles, the crucifix, the blessing.
It was the kind that slid open, and it would hold a couple of candles and had some holy water and the oils for the last rites.
That was a kindness.
And Mom did the blessings on the small boy, there on the picnic table in the yard.
I've never seen a group of kids this quiet.
I remember the raspberries. They were full berry. And Mom's irises in the garden. Mom loved her irises. And it was quiet. Nothing but whispers.
You know what I remember? Mom's irises.
And I could smell their garden. It was nice of the Dohertys to share their raspberries last summer.
That was my first experience of death being so close.
The one she had planted in the garden. You've seen it, that pale, pale purple. Same color as the boy. the veins.
I work a farm. I'm used to seeing death. But this,
This death, it's very personal.
I stand in the yard and watch, and I don't know what to do with my hands.
That's what I remember.
My brain is on the floor. Wet, sloshy, discolored. I kick it like a soccer ball. It never scores any goals. Ow! 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 There's so much on the floor. Why is there so much on the floor? Why is there so much shit on the floor? Can you help me clean it up? Why not? No one helps each other out anymore. I sink. Everything blooms. I crumble. Even when I can't bloom, I still think it's pretty. When will I bloom? You know those plants in the jungle that grab and climb on each other to reach the sun? Breathe in, ribs out. Breathe out, ribs in. I love body. I long body. Melting into fire, sun, oil. Why can I breathe? I can breathe. I can breathe. I can breathe.
Things remembered, things forgotten. I remember a lot of good things. I remember making snow forts with my dog when I was a kid. My 8th birthday, seeing The Sound of Music. My first kiss, my first time. Some memories, not so pleasant. Cavities, earaches, my brothers teasing me relentlessly. I remember when my grandmother died. My mother crying. I can still hear it.
We used to have fun. Drinking, no worries, no kids.
Things forgotten. There's all those everyday things. Did I forget to turn the stove off? Did we see that movie? I forget where I left my keys, my phone, my wallet. The more complicated things when I've been drinking. How did I get here?
She can't control it anymore. She needs willpower. She's always tired, yelling at the kids,
What did I say?
and burning the fucking dinner.
What did I do now?
God, I need coffee. I slept like shit. She was up puking half the night. Toss, turn, and that fucking snoring. I told her to slow down last night. I told her. Christ, she looked so nice when we went out to the party.
There was a party, see? And well, I get so nervous going to these things, parties where I hardly know anyone. I felt great leaving the house, had a couple of beers before we left. Went into the party feeling confident and ready to mingle and bullshit with everybody. The expensive white wine was so tasty, and the gourmet cheese so perfectly paired.
Slow down.
Leave me alone, I'm having fun.
And then we sat down to dinner.
Everyone was laughing, having a good time.
But what a stupid argument. I wasn't flirting with that girl. She was flirting with me. And Kathy saw it and she thought, I don't know what she thought, but she started getting nasty.
More wine, red or white, I don't care.
Slow down. Drink some water.
Well, we're eating dinner and I told a joke.
And her joke, Jesus. My boss was there, the branch manager was there.
I probably shouldn't have. My husband, he gave me the eye. But everybody laughed. I was fitting in. It was great. It was fun.
I had to drag her out of there.
Next thing I remember, we're pulling up to the house. I'm freezing as he opens the door and I crumble onto the sidewalk. I'm soaked with pee and puke, and he drags me into the house.
Up the stairs, into the bedroom with piss.
I start to come to, and I could see his disgust as he plopped me onto the bed.
Honestly. I feel bad for her. I do.
The next morning, there was a shift. I woke up, my head was pounding, my mouth felt like a small mammal was living inside of it. I could hear him, his morning routine, coffee, shave, shower, but there was something different. It sounded angry. The slam of the dishes.
I have to do
The
this.
smacking of his razor hard against the sink.
I have to do this today.
The slamming drawers as he got his socks.
I can't take this anymore.
What did I do now? How long will he be mad this time? I open my eyes as he walks into the room.
I walk in there, into the bedroom, and I can see it.
I can read it on his face. It was clear.
I can read it on her face. Even she knew. It was so clear.
Tom?
Kathy, I'm done.
I don't know why I let her talk me into going downtown. I don't drink. I don't like crowds. I don't know how she got so drunk so fast. I just don't know when it happened. She didn't get it from me. Her father, he was a bruiser. She didn't get it from me. We were cutting through the street and the cops, they had it blocked off, and I don't even know if she noticed the cones. She was drunk and she was talking to them, to the cops. And the chief of police comes up behind her and he reaches out and he's gonna grab her by the elbow, and she just sort of yanks her arm out of his grasp. And these other two cops, the ones suited up, armed to the teeth, they leap on her like two hobos on a ham sandwich. Put her in a chicken wing and slam her up against the side of that building, hard. And she's screaming and I'm screaming. And when she was little, my daughter was quiet. She was the one from the Gifted and Talented program, the one that narrated her kindergarten play. She's the girl who read at an 8th grade comprehension level when she was 6 years old. Merrily, she was quiet, she was shy, she was withdrawn. She didn't make any waves when she was younger. I know that she's angry, hurt, and I don't know how to fix it. The cops kept her pinned there to the wall for 45 minutes, and finally a cop car arrives to transport my daughter, and as they're loading her into the cop car, they kind of had her sideways, and they were manhandling her, and like a bunch of, and these guys were gym rats, huge. And they loaded her into the car, and her mouth got next to that butt cheek, and she bit, okay? Anybody would. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah. My daughter called from the county jail, asked me if I'd take the clothes she was wearing that night, put them in a paper bag to save. For evidence, she said. The lieutenant who did it, he was some out-of-state fella from Utah. He was never convicted. And because of that night, they sentenced my eldest daughter, the one from the Gifted and Talented program, the narrator of her kindergarten play, to 10 years in the Montana Women's Prison. Isn't that something?
Dear Resentment, I'm writing this letter to let you know that although it is difficult, I'm officially ending this relationship. It has been painful to be with you lately, and honestly, I feel like we've been drifting apart for a while. We've been together for many years, practically a lifetime. We got together in the usual way, hurt pride, fear, anger. Gradually, we grew on each other. Then you moved in and stayed. We did have some good times, lashing out at people, getting pissed off, ruining relationships. Who needs people anyway? Well, I think I do. I've changed. I do not regret our shared moments. What has been will ever be. But I believe it's for the best if we part. You're welcome to visit on occasion, but I don't want to live with you anymore. Sincerely, Kathy.
I am 15 years old and I have relationships with older men that I have met online. My parents find out and lose their minds. It doesn't seem to have crossed their minds to question why I do this, other than the obvious answer. There must be something fundamentally wrong with me. I'm a slut. I'm promiscuous. I like trouble. I am rebelling. In some sick way, I like it when they pour their rage into me because it feels like they are actually invested into the person I am becoming. And I also wonder why I keep doing this, because it truly is not an experience that I prefer. There must be a different way. I can't come up with any better answers, though, so I return to the default that I am just fucked. These men that I meet, this is all that is awaiting for me in life, and it works, because I live for their validation. Do they think I'm cool? Mature? Do they notice how fun and reckless I am? Am I worthy? I'm 15 years old. Around this point in time, I taste alcohol for the first time. And I don't just taste it, I pour it into myself. I black out, I forget. There is an erasure that happens of the shameful things I do, and I have the distinct thought, if I can make this work for the rest of my life, I will be okay. Alcohol is the solution. I don't have to cut myself anymore. I don't have to browse online for men's attention. When I drink, people want me around. I am a good time. I must be worthy. I must be worthy. I'm surrounded by boys who think it's impressive how loose I am, and they chase after me. There's shame sometimes. The next day, when they tell me how much of a wreck I was, or how out of control I was. But whenever I'm around that drink again, that all of it, it falls behind me, and I don't care anymore. I just don't care. April 2nd, 2025.
Dear me, I carry a lot of shame. Not so much for a thing I've done, but for not living up to what was expected of me.
You will shine again.
I failed. And I failed myself, and I failed the people who thought that I could be more than what I had accomplished.
Relationships will be repaired, even the ones that seem hopeless.
I feel like a compass that has no magnetic north.
You will lose things.
I just could never figure out what I wanted out of life. Money, cars, boats, houses, vacations, women, more money, bigger houses, bigger boats, more women. And I still felt empty.
The things you lose will be replaced with different, unfamiliar things, precious things.
Is this all there is? I mean, is this it?
You are going to have a freedom and a courage and a love and a deep knowing that's going to pulse in your chest so strongly. And I promise you, if you keep listening to it, You will flourish in ways no one has ever explained to you.
Where's the serenity, the joy, the happiness?
You will face your demons, the things that happened to you that were not your fault.
I'm 47 years old.
You will bloom. You will blossom with every truth you have the courage to tell, and you will astound yourself over and over by the depths of your capacity to feel. You will feel the hands of the world holding you.
Humility, honesty, openness, willingness, gratitude. Those things have given me a peace of mind that I hold to now, that I was never able to find when I was younger.
You will learn how to give away your power to become free.
I'm 47 years old, just trying to be a better human. At least now I can say goodbye to my shame and good riddance. Hell, like most things, I'll probably have to do that a few times before I get it right.
You will shine.
Living a life of drinking is it's like you're driving around in a car and tossing all this trash in the back seat. Everything feels out of sight and out of mind until you slam on the brakes and suddenly, boom, all that garbage comes flying forward, just like all the emotions you try to bury with alcohol. That's how it was for me, at least. When my parents died, I was sad. But life goes on, right? They were in a better place. I didn't really feel anything. When my husband died, I was just mad. Mad at the financial mess he left me, mad at him for his drinking and crazy schemes. He died, and I just went on with my life, just driving around in that car, throwing all those feelings in the back. Fast forward to my sober life today. My dog Tony has been my companion for the last 10 years. Tony was, honestly, he was a pain in the ass. But he got me out to exercise, he listened to me, he loved everyone in the family, and they all loved him. I mean, my whole day revolved around him. Making sure he ate, got exercise. I loved hiking with him, talking to him. He brought me a lot of joy, a lot. He died a few weeks ago. I was home, and he collapsed. I managed to get him up and walked him around, but then he collapsed again by the front door. It was hard. I was crying. That whole night, I kept looking at him, checking on him. And in the morning, I had to make a decision. So I took him to the vet and watched him slip away. And I felt something. Something I've never felt before. Grief. That heavy feeling in my chest, in my whole body. I didn't feel that before when my parents or husband died because I was drinking then. I'm standing there in the vet's office. My head's aching, my eyes are sore. I'm crying. I'm actually crying. It was good to feel something. Tony. Today I have fond memories of my parents in their bakery and of fun vacations with my husband Tom and the way Tony would gobble up an ice cream cone. Sometimes I feel a small ache in my heart, but mostly I feel peace.
Aw, you gotta be kidding me. I've been in this cell by myself for 5 months.
Get away from the door, Watney.
I didn't want to put a child in here. Are you sure she's even old enough to be in here? She looks like she's 12.
She's been assigned your cell. Deal with it.
I got bottom bunk. You get top bunk. When you climb up there, you use that table. You do not put your feet on my bed. Need to use the bathroom? That's fine. I'll step out. I don't want to see that. There's a piece of paper you can hang up over the window. That rag's for cleaning only. Commissary's every Wednesday. Stuff gets here the following Friday. I sleep till noon, so be quiet in the morning. It's going to be a rough day. Don't touch my ho-hos and we'll be fine.
Okay, got it. So, what's your name?
Marilee.
I'm Angela. Nice
Hi,
to meet
Angela.
God, the TV's loud.
Yeah, I just keep the door shut. You can put a towel underneath.
Can I?
Go ahead.
So, how long have you been here?
Forever. 5 months.
Oh.
What are you even doing here, kid? Skipping school?
I had a car accident. I haven't gotten my charges back. I'm waiting to hear from the lawyer. When do they turn the lights off?
They don't.
You think the guards could give me some chapstick?
What?
Chapstick, my lips hurt.
I got a piece of bacon from breakfast you can use if you want. Rub it on your lips. What? I'm serious.
I'm vegetarian. It's
It's
not funny.
Oh, good luck, kid. My lips were cracked and bleeding for weeks. What happened?
Me and my friend Erica, we're on our way to this after party, and there was this deer, this stupid deer, and we swerved and we skidded into a ditch, and they took Erica away in an ambulance, so I was .2 when the cops showed up. I hope she's okay.
Got this a commissary. Probably not vegan.
Thanks.
Night I got arrested, I was downtown with my mom. I promised myself I wasn't gonna drink too much. Well, long story short, I got completely shit-faced and I bit a cop in the ass.
You what?
Yeah, it's funny till you find out you got a 10-year sentence.
10 years for biting him on the ass?
Yeah,
That's insane.
I know. I didn't even believe them when they told me. I woke up the next morning, the guard told me I had a felony. I said, what felony? What do you mean a felony? She said, well, you bit an officer. I said, you're joking. That's not even real. I wouldn't fucking bite somebody.
Did you break the skin?
Motorcycle cop, he was wearing leather pants.
Well, thank God he survived.
You know, I'm not going to tell you everything's okay, that everything's going to be fine, because I don't know. But you probably would have heard already if your friend was hurt. You ever been to jail?
I've never been anywhere like this. What?
How old are you again?
19. What?
You look like my little sister, kind of. Same color hair, same eyes. It's nothing. Never mind. Did Warrens do your intake? You know, the guard, Warrens, tall, reddish hair, glasses. Did anything happen with him?
No.
Be careful around him. It's late, Angel. We ought to go to sleep.
I have a tattoo above my heart. It is a portrait of my Uncle Mike, who was burned alive. Now, Uncle Mike, he was a hero to me. He was the rebel, the outlaw. He took me in when I was 17. He taught me to drink Yukon Jack in the morning. He gave me a cigarette roller that he got in prison, and he'd been murdered. The family believed that Uncle Mike was murdered by the Mexican cartel. He was an IV drug user, and he was on parole. The Mexican cartel worried that if Uncle Mike got caught using while on parole, he'd snitch on them to save himself from a jail sentence. So they burned him alive in his fourplex. My little sister and I were drinking and smoking weed, sitting on her 1970s dingy trailer carpet, and I was stoned, and she was crying. And I swore to her that one day I would exact vengeance on the people responsible for Uncle Mike's death. To remember this, we made a branding iron out of a coat hanger in the shape of a V for vengeance. We heated it red hot with our big lighters and pressed it into my chest. The skin sizzled like bacon. For years afterward, I looked at it every time I took my shirt off. But as the years passed, the weight of it, it was like an oath I took to my little sister. I had this debt that I owed, to do right by the family. No one gets over on the Miller clan. You think you got us, motherfucker? We got you. But it was all a fantasy, because I wanted to be someone else. I wanted to be the tough guy, but I wasn't. I'm not that guy. I don't like to be that guy. I have been that guy, I should say, but I don't want to be like that. That vengeance, it was too heavy. So I prayed to God, asking how I could release this vengeance. And God gave me a vision of how my Uncle Mike actually died. He was in his recliner, did a shot of dope, and fell out with a lit cigarette in his mouth. The fourplex just went up in flames. To release the vengeance, I made another branding hanger in the shape of an R for release. Because I burned it in, I had to burn it out. I got the iron red hot and pressed it into my chest next to the V. I will never forget the smell of burning flesh. Today, when I see the scars, I have a new vision of reality. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see.
When I was like 15, I was living down in New Orleans, and I was having a lot of problems. I was using a lot, and I was having these, what do you call it, when you're off your head, running down the highway barefoot? Oh, yeah, mental crises. So, I got committed to a mental hospital. And the mental hospital in Louisiana, it was not a very good environment. Sometimes they locked us in a closet. Sometimes no food or showers for days. Sometimes the orderlies groped us. What do you call it when a grown man's hands go under your shirt and grab a little girl's breasts? Oh yeah, child molesting. Yeah, it was pretty awful, but I was committed, so we're in this shithole, and it's almost time for bed check. And this fight breaks out between these two girls, and there was only one orderly and one nurse on duty that night, right? So, the nurse and the orderly, they go off to start the fight. And I look over at the window, and there's a crack at the edge. This one window, it was like a flat piece of plastic, and the glue around it was starting to peel. So, I push, and the corner comes loose, and I get my fingers underneath, and the whole thing, it pops loose. Me and these 4 other girls, all 5 of us, we all jumped and we bolted just over the fence, gone, just running and running. And we finally make it to like this baseball field and we're all out of breath and I don't know what it was, but all of us, we had to pee and we just like squatted right there in the field. It was like our adrenaline, it was sky high. So we pulled our pants down and had a good pee right there. And I remember, I was like, okay, we have to make the first 48 hours. As long as we're past that, we're good. I'd seen it in some show. We were gonna like hop a train or, I don't know, just leave. It was nighttime and we could see the police looking for us. Their lights, their sirens, so we kept hiding. We'd like duck under cars or hide in bushes and stuff, take back roads. And it's summer in Louisiana, so it's brutal. And we're getting really thirsty. And we get to a Papa John's. We walk in and we're all barefoot. We don't have shoes on. All of us are in our pajamas. We're sweaty and we look insane. I mean, because we were. And we go to the lady behind the counter and we're like, do you guys have some water we could have? And she was like, I guess you can have some Life Water. And she just gives us these bottles of Life Water, this really nice brand. It was like $5 and it was cold. It'd been in a fridge. It was amazing. We kept walking and we're staying off the main roads and we see this Winn-Dixie and we're like, okay, we need to get some food. So we're looking in the dumpsters, digging around for like old pastries and stuff. And we look up and we see the lights and we hear the sirens. Cops pull up in their car and they hop out and they're chasing us and we're running and we come up to a fence, a dead end. And I almost did it. I almost jumped the fence, but there were too many of us and the cops got there and they had their tasers out. So we just lay on the floor and put our hands out. They cuffed us and put us in the back of the car. And I mean, it was kind of fun right then. I mean, we were with all our friends. We'd lived together and we'd just done this crazy thing. So we were all like high on adrenaline. And we kept laughing and we asked the police officer if he'd turn the radio on so we could listen to music. And at first he wouldn't, but we kept bugging him and he shut the divider and shut us up. They don't have music in the psych ward. You can't have music there. So we just wanted to listen to some music. We get back to the psych ward and they walk us in and we're still handcuffed. And it was like a parade of handcuffed, clinically insane teenage girls. We walk in and everyone from the unit, they're still awake and they're watching and I'm like, yeah. And the girls on the ward, all of them, they started to scream and bang their hands on the rail and pound their feet. And it was wild, you know? Man, it was something else.
Here's a good one for you. Every Christmas, Dad would say the same thing. Well, this is going to be the year. Santa Claus is going down. Yes, sir, I got it all mapped out. I can catch him at the hearth with a bear trap when he breaks in. I can put some boards on the chimney with extra long screws. If I attach a string of bells to the boards, it would sound an alarm as he tears them off. Or maybe just the old cowboy trick of roping him as he sneaks down the chimney and leaves the kids stolen toys. Toys stolen from other kids on his crime spree, no doubt. We'd hear Dad talking to Mom about the fortune he'd make. Sell him to the circus. Put him on display. We'd hear him say, charge the kids $1 to see him. Let's see if his magic can keep him out of the news now. This went on for weeks, all leading up to Christmas. He kept a notebook by his chair, and he'd draw out his little traps with little detailed notes and arrows that said things like, use good hemp rope, has to be strong, oil bear trap, check spring. Boy, buy more cookies, need fresh bait. The list of ideas was endless, and when Mom would give us cookies for Santa and reindeer carrots, Dad would moan, crumbs were left all over the carpet last year. Just give him the carrots instead. He can share with the dang reindeer. You watch, I'll get him. Well, Dad never did catch Santa. He'd say things like, the elves must have seen the bear trapper. Oh, St. Nick must have had a knife in his boot, used it to escape. And off Dad'd go to draw out another new idea and mutter to himself about ransom for some fat old man in a red and white suit. When my oldest was around 4, I started complaining about Santa too. Every Christmas after putting the kids to bed, I'd set up traps that appeared to have failed. Mom would put out their gifts and I'd start setting the stage. One time, I got a scrap of red flannel, tied it to the end of a rope, shoved it up the chimney as far as I could, and I looped the other end around the easy chair. And then I pushed that old lazy boy right up against the hearth. You should have seen the next morning. The kids went crazy, pulling 30 feet of rope out of the chimney, only to find out Santa had given me the slip. Another time I darn near lost a finger when I tried to stage a bear trap being jammed open with a piece of kindling by some pesky elf. I only tried that trick once. The kids would put out milk and cookies for Santa and carrots for the reindeer, and I'd put them all back. But I left a mess of crumbs and carrot stumps so I'd have something to complain about in the morning. That song and dance went on every Christmas until our youngest finally broke down, told me and the wife he knew who Santa really was. The 14 or 15 years of attempts on the life of Santa Claus came to a screeching halt, which, to be honest, was very good because I was running out of sadistic ideas. I didn't have much left. And it must have been overly traumatic for my kids because none of them play the same game with their children. Now it's all just elf on the shelf or track Santa Claus on your iPhone. But those childhood memories, all the plots, the schemes, fooling around, playing make-believe, back when they thought it was real, that was legendary.
I am 21 years old, and there is nothing standing between me and the oblivion I crave anymore. Drinking takes the weight off wanting to be dead. I live separate from my parents now, and I can bring somebody new home with me every night as the bars shut down. And the bars fill me with alcohol and drinking and attention for being hot, carefree, the drunk girl, unafraid to be loud, to dance on the bar, to make out with anyone who's willing. My parents tell me I'm not welcome at their house anymore. They tell me that I'm going to get hurt, get arrested, that I'll hurt someone else. Throughout my 21st year, my problems increase. Everybody is angry at me, disappointed in me, except my friends at the bar. They understand. This is normal. This is a phase. I am living the life I have dreamt of. I lose my job as a live-in nanny for a young couple. They sit me down one day to tell me that my drinking needs to get under control. I tell them I will get it under control. I don't. I move to a new town, fresh start, new vision. None of my friends from the bar back home ever call me again, but that's okay. There's bars here. I have a boyfriend. We fight when I'm drunk. I can't even track what started the fight in the first place. Months later, he reveals to me that in my blackouts, I would beg him to take me to an AA meeting, that I needed help, that I couldn't stop on my own. I begged him, pled with him to put me in the car and drive me to a meeting. He never does. The relationship ends. Another one starts. That relationship ends. Another one starts. It's not fun anymore. It hasn't been fun for some time. A month before my 22nd birthday, my best friend takes me to my first AA meeting. I feel like I have failed.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming here tonight. I really appreciate it. My name is Brandy, and this is my TED Talk, The Science of Yourself. Everybody, you can clap. Thank you. She wore truth like a coat. She was cold. She did not know herself. She could not be honest with herself or others because she hid behind deep shame and guilt. Did people believe her? Did she believe herself? I wrote that in a journal when I was 13 years old. When I was younger, navigating these emotions, these feelings, it felt big, scary. But science always made sense to me. Science was truth. It was facts, not ambiguity. There was comfort in equations, clarity in outcomes. So I grew up and I became an engineer, designing roads, bridges, sidewalks, that kind of thing. And safety was the most important thing. When designing a road or a building or a bridge, just solve for X. Follow the order of operations. Apply the coefficient of safety, N, to prevent a building collapse. Tilt the roadway, E, just enough to keep the vehicle from flying off the curb at a high speed. Learn the equations, solve the problem. Essentially, in all math, when solving for X in an equation, X is a version of the truth, right? The thing that makes the whole equation true. There's always an answer, always a kind of truth. So, let's do some math. Brandy plus alcohol equals delusion with a capital D. Shame multiplied by silence. What does that equal? Yes, exactly, isolation. Okay, you're getting it. Resistance to the square root of fear. Pain. See how it works? Where the truth lives? These are the equations. They're wild. But how could this be true? This couldn't possibly be who I am. I mean, I was the overachiever. I followed every rule, checked every box, earned the degrees, solved every problem. People pleasing to the nth degree. Think about it. How could someone spend hours, countless hours, poring over calculations, meticulously weighing speed, density, mass, gravity, momentum, force, friction, all to design safe passage for people, for complete strangers? How could I do that during the day and slowly be destroying myself at night? My mind, my relationships, my body, my life? Was this me? These equations? They worked, I'll say that. What you see there, this was the math, the rationalizations, the mental contortions that allowed me to get by. For a while, it was brilliant, until it wasn't. One thing went wrong, then another, and another. The story changed so fast, I barely saw it happen. The personal code of ethics I thought I lived by, of valuing truth, it just eroded. Everything began to strip away. Where were my standards, my rules? Was alcohol my coefficient? Or shame? Or fear? What was the X? Were these the variables I introduced to buffer my own collapse? To keep me from flying off the curve too fast, too aware? To keep me from knowing myself? But see, here's the thing. None of it works. The math doesn't add up. You cannot apply engineering logic to an emotional landslide. Addiction doesn't follow standards. It rewrites them in secret. It takes the codes apart. It shifts the equation. This delusion, the big D, remember this. You see, with alcoholism, the delusions multiply, they compound, they pile up, and they suffocate. An alcoholic stitches stories together from highlight reels and fading memories. Me, I spat stories in the dark until I no longer knew what was real. And in that darkness, the lines were so blurred between real and not, between truth and falsehood that even the memories faded. I was lost. I had no map, no formula, no coordinates, no internal compass, no equation. It was chaos unbounded. And it was going to kill me. And then I got sober. And then I found recovery. Not a single breakthrough, not some dramatic revelation, just a breath, a step, a recalibration, a slow rebuild and an internal reset, a fresh equation. It was horrible. It was the detox, the hallucinations. It was shattering. It was beyond what I could imagine. But slowly, recovery became both my science and my art. A blending of neurons and nuance, of data and grace, of chemistry and compassion. Every breath a variable. And now truth is no longer the unknown. And that is my answer to X.
Once upon a time, there were these two wives that met at an Al-Anon meeting. They seemed to identify with each other right from the start. Alice was new to the rooms. Connie'd been coming for over 20 years. After a meeting one night, the two went out for coffee.
You seem so happy. Your husband's been sober a long time. Why do you keep coming to meetings? Well, I would love to live the life you seem to have. How did sobriety happen at your house? Can you tell me your story?
Well, once upon a time, my husband went to work and came home past dinner time. He hurried through chores and the cold meal, and then sat in front of the TV and drank beers until it was time for bed. It was a lonely life. After 25 years, I asked myself, is it worth it? Every time I mentioned his drinking, there was a fight and silence for several days. In the end, I had no fight left. My sister-in-law Meg witnessed an awful night of him having too much to drink. She called the next day and asked,
How long has he been like that?
ugh, it's been
Does that happen every night? Do you want help?
Yes, please.
Meg volunteered to set up an intervention. She'd worked in a recovery center.
Hi, is there a bed available in your treatment center?
Will the insurance cover it? How long does it take?
Then Connie went to see my boss. Connie said,
My husband will be gone for approximately a month.
What? A month? He's not that bad.
he didn't think my drinking was out of control. But she didn't ask him if I could be gone for a month. She flat out told him. Then she got her marching orders from Meg.
Write a letter to your husband. Do not make it an ultimatum, and do not say things that you can't take back.
Connie made lame excuses for always meeting her sister at night. I didn't even notice she was gone. I sat at home and drank. Then Meg added,
Get the children to write him letters too. Let's get people that we count on to tell Tom the way it is. Make sure he sits in a particular place by a particular person. Tell his brothers to sit close to the door so he can't escape. Tell the children to spread out so they don't look like an attacking mob. Don't do it too early when he's still hungover. And don't do it too late where he feels like he needs to run to the bar. Oh, and Connie,
Yes, Meg?
always expect the unexpected.
Got it. Tom, we're going to brunch at my sister's house.
when we got there, there was nothing on the stove. There were no pancakes, no bacon, no eggs. They took me into the living room and told me to sit next to my mom.
Let me explain why we are here. Do you know how many times you've embarrassed us?
How many times you didn't come through?
We want you to go to treatment.
Do you know how much you mean to me, son?
I didn't stop them from reading each and every letter. I listened to them all, but it was the story my youngest son wrote.
I won't golf with you anymore, Dad, if you keep on drinking.
That now took all my fight.
Will you go to treatment?
Is my boss aware that I'll be gone?
Yes, dear, he is.
Who's going to pay for this?
It doesn't matter. It needs to be done.
I mean, what about clothes?
I have a suitcase in the trunk and a treatment appointment at noon, dear.
Fine, I'll go. But can I take those handwritten letters and I'll need to stop and grab a can of Copenhagen. At first, when I was there, I was relieved. I had no fight, no argument. After 2 weeks, I was able to get mail from family and friends. I got all kinds of get-well cards, and
Attaboy!
there was even one from my favorite bartender. Toward the end of the month, though, I was getting real apprehensive about going home. How was that going to be? What do I say? What do I do? I found aftercare therapy was a safety zone, a place where I could talk. I learned how to communicate my feelings, address my fears, and how to go forward. I find that same help today in the rooms of AA. I was one of the lucky ones. Not everyone makes it. That was when I realized all of us would have to participate in our recovery. To succeed, that will require some teamwork.
I think you should pray on that.
What did the people at the meeting say?
And the catchphrase my wife used the most was,
I'm going to disengage now, dear.
that left me with no one left to argue with. I learned things about myself and my past, and I was able to talk about my problems. I learned this was a family disease. I learned that people cared, and I got help. You know, I got my family back, all because of a phony 10 o'clock brunch. Thanks, dear.
Dear 15-year-old Marilee, I'm going to subtitle this letter to the girl who was fashioned from adversity. I'm sorry no one protected you. I know watching your father get killed in front of you destroyed your spirit. In a perfect world, that would never be allowed to happen. Don't expect life to be fair, people to be honest. This is not a perfect world. It is critically flawed. The brighter you shine, the harder people will clamor to make sure you never reach your full potential. Now listen carefully, Marilee. No one is coming to save you. Because you are marked with trauma, you will attract people who will enthusiastically encourage you to destroy yourself. Keep the vampires at bay, the malignant narcissists who enjoy watching people suffer. You'll need the ability to gray rock until you can decipher people's true intentions. Learn to play good poker. You will be tempted to want to fit in. Drugs and alcohol may feel like an escape, but they are the locked door on a trap. And don't buy the lie that if you were just a little less yourself, you might be deemed acceptable. Don't buy any lies. Some may say you're too bold or too sensitive. Tell them you were forged that way, and if they don't like your shine, blind them with your damn backside. I can't tell you why people are intimidated by little girls. They're brilliant and beautiful and smart and funny and wild and true, but they are. Fuck them. It's not a reflection of your intrinsic value. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. You be reckless in your authenticity. The only one who holds the power to overcome the hand you were dealt is in your power. You have the power to create a better life. Dream big, honey. You are an electromagnetic reality generator. What you focus on will magnify. Get to know yourself better than anyone else ever could. And above all, don't forget, be unreasonably kind. Life's hard enough without making it harder on each other. Sincerely, your friend, 47-year-old Marilee.
I was born the middle child in a Marine Corps family. My earliest memory of alcohol was when I heard my mother and father come home one night and I could hear my father crying. I looked out my door and I could see him hanging on my mother's shoulder, sobbing, and he'd wet his pants. In a military family, we moved a lot, so I didn't have any long-term relationships growing up. I was lonely. I got drunk for the first time at 11 years old. Remember the slow, comfortable screw? At 17, I dropped out of high school and moved to Idaho to live with my Uncle Mike. In 1985, I started daily drinking, and by 1987, I had my first DUI. They sent me to something called the ACT program. They told me that I had middle to late stage alcoholism at 21. I wondered, how could this be? I drink like all my friends, but I did go to treatment. After 2.5 weeks there, I had my first belly laugh in over a decade. But on the bus ride home from treatment, I cried because I knew I wasn't done drinking yet. I continued to get DUIs. 89, 93, a fourth in 99, a fifth in 2003. I'd lost jobs, ruined relationships. I'd already been to prison. I'd been on probation for a long time. I could see the progression of alcoholism in my life. When I came to in a cell in 2003 on a concrete bunk, I rolled off and I hit my knees and I prayed. I said, God, if you're there, by the way, I hardly believe in you, but give me something, would you? Give me Jesus, the Holy Spirit, Muhammad, Buddha. Hell, give me Hare Krishna, but give me something. And evidently I got something, because I stayed sober for over 9 years. But I had a terrible problem. I had something called white knight syndrome. I was always trying to save somebody. And after 9 years of sobriety, I fell in love with an alcoholic prostitute. I was going to save her and sober her up and live happily ever after. But that's not what happened. We relapsed together. I lost everything I had accumulated in 3.5 weeks, and then we got in a fight. I was arrested the next day, but released on pretrial supervision. But I was full of self-loathing, self-hate, and I was praying to die because I had hurt someone really bad. My last drink was on October 13, 2015. I was arrested again for being drunk on probation. I blacked out when they put me in the police car, and I came to in a padded cell. There was a red light in the corner, a hole in the floor to piss in, and a little metal slot on the door. When I asked for water, they gave it to me in a Dixie spit cup. They told me I'd be facing revocation for the remainder of my sentence, and my mind started spinning. I was filled with anxiety and fear. But I did remember something that I had learned in my 9 years of sobriety, and that was the 11th step prayer of Thy will be done. So I made it my silent mantra, and I was released from jail on that day. I owned my powerlessness over alcohol at that point. I started a daily routine of prayer and meditation. I got a sponsor and worked through the 12 steps of the Alcoholics Anonymous program, and we studied the traditions. My father passed away in March of 2022, and he was very adamant. He left us instructions that he wanted a life celebration, not a memorial. And I was to play a part in that celebration. I was asked to read a short autobiography that he had written and a poem. I woke up that morning and I couldn't stop crying. I was overwhelmed with sadness and grief. So I prayed to my God. And I said, God, you got to hook me up, man. This has got to be a celebration for my father. And when I got up to the lectern, I was solid. I spoke his autobiography. I read the poem. But I looked out in the crowd, and my little sister was crying. And a flash in my memory came, and I heard a song that my father made up when she was very young. So I sang it right there in front of everybody. Rhonda Evelyn Porkchop Miller. And she quit crying, and she laughed, and the audience laughed. And it deepened my faith and told me that I really do have a strong God connection. And if you think any of that is amazing, you should meet my God.
I am almost 25 years old and I have been sober for nearly all of the last 3 years. I live by myself in my own place. I attend meetings regularly. I pray. I have a community of people who get it. They really get it. I wish I could tell you that I'm financially stable, have a healthy relationship, went back to school, have a career that I love, that I worked a 12-step program the entire time and never wondered about another drink. That is not the case. There's been a lot of slow learning these last 3 years. A lot of days I need to be reminded to not kill myself in these first 5 years, because if I did, I would be killing a stranger. But I have a vision of hope now. I have honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I have a new understanding of my compulsions when I was younger. I have a better understanding of my mental health struggles. I know now that I have a premenstrual dysphoric disorder. When I am in that phase of my cycle, I do not just feel irritable. I feel a sense of dread disproportionate to the reality of my life. At times, this makes me forget how bad of an idea a drink would be. I know now that there was sexual abuse when I was a child that I did not remember for years, and that I replayed that abuse throughout my teens over and over again. I have deep compassion for these younger versions of myself. They were barely holding on. In the past, I've imagined myself going to them, shaking them, telling them to stop, to just be better, just get a grip. But I wouldn't approach them with such harshness anymore. I would hold them and tell them that I understand why they are the way that they are. And I wouldn't even tell them to stop or to do anything different. I needed them to destroy themselves so that I can stand with them now. I am Izabella. I'm an alcoholic. I am almost 25 years old, and I have been sober for almost 3 years.
When I got discharged, my family, it was hard, especially for my little brother John. When I was using, I hadn't been good to John. We were close growing up, really close. I'm his older sister, so we did everything together. We'd make movies together with our dad's camera, watch our favorite shows together. We shared a room for the longest time. We would laugh at night, going to bed. We would just lie there, crying, laughing at stupid stuff, like fart noises and stuff, silly voices. It was stupid, but the laughing. I asked him once, we were little, and I was like, Johnny, do you ever wish you had a brother? Because I'll admit it, I thought about it, sometimes I wished I had a sister. I could braid her hair and do her nails. Not like John wouldn't let me paint his nails. And when he was little, he wore my dresses all the time, But yeah, I thought about it. But John, he just said it was so simple. He said, no, I would never want to have someone who isn't you. He said, I would only want you as my sister. And even then, I was young, I was little, but I knew that was sweet. He was a sweet boy. I got older and I started using, and I was dealing with this big mental health crisis. I was addicted to a lot of substances and just in crisis. For a couple years, things between me and Johnny started to break, to shift. I was angry, I was scared, and I was not a good big sister. I didn't provide, I didn't do what I should have done, and I know that. And I did cause a lot of hurt to him. So anyway, when I got home from the hospital, this was after my 4th stay. It's like my second night back, and I'm in my room crying, and I have this huge piece of driftwood that I'd found and put on my wall, and I was painting on it. Eyes, faces, hands, a dog, different patterns. And it was late, really late. And John knocked on the door, and he walked in, and I was so grateful to see him. I hadn't thought about us in so long. I was so buried in my own mind, I hadn't had time to worry about our relationship, that it was crumbling, and I knew it. I knew things were breaking, but I'd just been too messed up to fix anything. So when he walked in, I was really grateful, for him, trying, for that effort. He didn't say anything. He just sat down with me, and we just started painting. We didn't talk for a long time, just the sound of the brushes. And the first thing he said was, "Are you okay?" And obviously he knew the answer to that, but he asked, and I just said no. And he just sat and kept painting, and I remember he was painting a little brown house. Lots of squares, lots of windows, the door, all of it perfect. And when he finished his house, he got up and he told me that he loved me and that I was going to be okay. And then he closed the door and he left. And it didn't feel sharp or not enough. It was exactly what it needed to be. My little brother, John. That's my little brother, John.
And we'll rise up, I like the waves.
Thank you all so much for coming. I just want to say that, as you all know, we have a new president. And what that means for us personally, like it means for a lot of people, as we were poised to move to be our own nonprofit and apply for federal funding, which we were actually in a very good place to do. Well, that's all been paused. So that's not possible right now. So we are still here, and there are a lot of nonprofits in Missoula. In fact, Missoula has more nonprofits per capita than any place in the country. So there's a lot of competition out there, but we're the only ones that do this. We're the only ones that work with this community and hope to work to branch out and work even more with the prison in Deer Lodge. So if you have $1, if you have $5, 10, 20, 20,000, I'll take your firstborn. I'll do something with him. I'll rattle him and make something out of him. But whatever you can donate, we are, just doing compressions, and we're still out here and we're still hanging on. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you.